So this is the introduction to the course for winter 2022. We pride ourselves in this being a course about the accessible future. What does that mean? A future that is easy to understand. A lot of presentations of the future give you the impression that the barrier to entry is like tremendous. You have to read 17 books before you can even start to understand the subject. So we try to give the opposite impression, that it's pretty easy and fun to learn about the future. So on eClass, you've had the opportunity to take this quiz. The quiz is important in that it's like the midterm. So anyway, it's like a little microcosm of the midterm. So, and it also gives me some idea of whether you already know everything that's in the course, right? Because if so, I have to up my game and teach at a higher level. That hasn't happened yet, but it could. And so it sort of gives me some idea of how much of a void there is to fill in terms of your knowledge of the future and technology. Yeah. So eClass forum, there are lots of things there. Taryn Stokowski and the rest of the TAs are managing that. So I'm not necessarily up on everything that's there, but there's some pretty exciting opportunities if you sort of want to go beyond the teaching sessions and then learn additional things. There are lots of ways to do that. So the class format, these are 80-minute class periods on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and each registered students, it's not the medical students, but the regular students, take on a special project of their own with guidance by the faculty and present the results of that project in a 20-minute presentation at the end of the course and in a 10-page paper. You might ask, have medical students ever given a presentation, done a paper, and taken the midterm? The answer is yes to all three, but it's not currently something that we expect medical students to do. But there are medical students who have done that, and their performance compared quite well to the other students. Okay, so the course emphasizes the idea of the accessible future. And for many students, this is just another course. They take it and then they're on to other things. But for some students, it's life-changing and they sort of get hooked and they want something to do related to this course all the time. So that's where the future and all that jazz came. The future and all that jazz is something we do between semesters where we take important but maybe uncomfortable and unpleasant subjects in science that you might not sit still for a lecture on, and put them in poetry and music and entertain you for an evening and accidentally teach you stuff. Yeah, so that's called the future and all that jazz. Mallory and I are working on an album. You know, she has 3 other albums and is quite a successful singer and musician. Okay, and then summer experience in Le Mans. Amir Grozdanik, who's with us today, has been there. We're thinking maybe it won't happen in 2023 because of COVID, but likely will in won't happen in 2022, but will happen in 2023. And I've just completed a CFAR grant, Future Being Human, that's sort of about AI fixing all the big problems of the human race. Okay, your evaluation. This is a graduate course mainly taken by undergraduates. I know that's a bit unusual, but that's the way it's always been. but that means that it's graded like a graduate course. So if a lot of people do well, they can all get high grades. There's no requirement that the grades be curved or anything like that. So for the regular students, 30% of your grade is based on your final presentation, 40% on the paper, 20% on the midterm exam, and 10% on class participation. The midterm exam score is scaled. So the highest grade is always 99, no matter what it starts out as. We raise the highest grade to 99. We usually bring the lowest grade, which is sometimes remarkably low, up to, I don't know, about 83 or something like that, and deal with that range. And I've never been threatened with jail time. I don't know of any paper talking about scaling grades like that, but we've been doing it for quite a while and not gotten into any trouble. So that's the way the midterm is graded. A mentor, this depends upon your personal confidence, how self-confident you are. If you're a really self-confident person, then you don't have to worry about this mentor stuff. I can be sort of your default mentor, and you just do what you think best. But if you're really uncertain about how to make decisions about the final presentation or paper, you can pick anyone who's ever taught in this course in the past 10 years of the course and ask them to help you as your mentor. They can suggest things about how to structure your 20-minute presentation, how to decide how to approach the paper, and so on. So it's not a required part of the course, but at least for some of you, it's a useful part of the course. You'd have to turn in your paper on time. 5 points a day will be deducted for late work if you don't have an excuse. So, I mean, if you've got a logical excuse, you can turn in things late, but you can't just have no reason and turn things in late without losing 5 points a day. Yeah, and you're probably aware there's a lot of wonderful stuff written about this course on Reddit. There's only one negative thing, and it's the person who wrote about the time when they heard of somebody getting a 90 and that person got a B+. That hasn't ever happened. So the grades are fairly logical, and we do take clustering into account, and the usual disputes about grades, believe it or not, are people who got A's and their friends got A+, and they're really upset, right? But often the clustering is quite clear that your friends who got the A+ are up here, and there's this space. There's your performance down here, and yeah. So anyway, but that's the usual kind of dispute we have about grades. Okay, the course is mainly about the technological singularity, and it means when you go to social events and it gets past 10 p.m. and people stop talking about work stuff, that you've got way cooler stuff to talk about than anyone else, right? And one thing is your own personal take on the technological singularity. Now, Ray Kurzweil is getting older, and so he used to say the technological singularity was 2045. Now he's saying it's 2035 because make it easier for him to reach it. It is the point at which artificial intelligences surpass human beings as the smartest, most capable life forms on Earth. Technological development is taken over by the machines who can think, act, and communicate so quickly that normal humans cannot even comprehend what's going on. Machines enter in a runaway reaction of self-improvement cycles, each new generation of AIs appearing faster and faster. From this point onwards, technological advancement is explosive under the control of the machines and thus cannot be accurately predicted. So the term singularity is an analogy with physics and the uncertainty of things at the event horizon around a black hole. we've never had any details about black holes before, but Nadia Zook, who I think is on the call, is going to teach us about black holes on the 18th. The 18th is a very interesting day. It begins at 7:30 a.m. for those of you who can join us then. And that part of the teaching will be shared with Nepal, because we're planning a version of this course for Nepalese audience as a part of a new undergraduate institution there, the University of Nepal, that is a government-sponsored entity where I'm working with a guy who is starting this, Arjun Karki. Yeah. So you can be excused for not knowing anything about the Singularity before February 2011, but on that day, it sort of broke into the mainstream. It was on the cover of Time magazine, and in 2011, the computer Watson beat the top human contenders on Jeopardy. Okay, and over time, the course's sessions have developed a sort of pedagogic rhythm leading to a self-organizing structure, but actually this isn't exactly what we do anymore, but it's certainly what yeah, I mean, sometimes we do this. But so we talk about machines replacing many of the functions of human beings, and you'll find many, many pictures attributed to me. I mean, I've 100,000 or something pictures on Facebook. Those aren't pictures that I took a camera and took the picture. They're automatic pictures from the camcorder that is capturing using the Sony smile shutter algorithm these interesting configurations of human beings. Only Sony knows what they're really looking for, but that's how this picture was taken. And most of the images I have on Facebook come from the video feed of my videos. I have nearly 1,500 videos, most of them from the course. The course began in very, very unfortunate circumstances. The room air handling was louder than any of the people speaking, and the lighting and everything was terrible. But anyway, we still had fun. We still enjoyed ourselves in that room in 2011, and then we moved to CSIS in 2012. We were in a room of, I don't know, 300, 400 people capacity with like somewhere between 6 and 14 students huddled in one part of the room. Eventually, the university got wind of this and they forced us into a smaller room, but that took a very long time. So we were in that big room, which had a lot of technological bells and whistles, which I really liked. Now we're officially in ECHA 1420, but that we won't be actually there until January 23rd at the earliest. The one session that I think you would probably want there is Shauna Panja's VR, XR, AR teaching session of augmented reality that obviously that's better face to face, right? It's a little hard to do that by Zoom. So I'm hoping that at least that session will be face to face in that room in ECHA. So the final presentation can be life-changing. This is Aisha Harian, who gave a talk on the mortal coil, an analysis of the existential risk created at the dawn of the singularity. And 4 days later, she got a phone call from a famous tech guy in New York. It just happened to fit into her life exactly to go to New York to take the job that was being offered, and basically everything changed from that moment on. So I don't guarantee that that's going to happen to any of you. I just want to say that it has happened, and So it probably will, things like that will happen again. Jonathan White is on sabbatical this year or this term. So he won't be teaching you on Zoom or face-to-face, but you're still responsible for this portion of his TEDx talk. It's on the exam, and you'll probably want to listen to the first presentation that he gave in the course. That is also kind of historically interesting. Yeah, and then Rich Sutton is teaching you on March 1st, but you're also required to know what's on this slide because Rich and I are very good friends. The last time we met was when I was mowing the lawn and he walked by and we talked for about 14 minutes and solved all the problems of the world in that short period of time. But at this AI meeting in 2015, he was the only one on the side of sentient AI, right? Everybody else was trying to think of, well, as machines get smarter, how can we keep them locked in a basement and prevent them from communicating with anyone and so on. And he said, no, we should treat them like we treat other humans. We should share power with them. The AIs will not be under our control. They will compete and cooperate with us just like other people do, except with greater diversity and asymmetries. We need to set up mechanisms, social, legal, political, cultural, to ensure that this works out well. Inevitably, conventional humans will be less important. So the first step is lose your sense of entitlement. Second step, include AIs in your circle of empathy. Yeah, so this is on the exam. You need to know it. You also need to know whatever he teaches on March 1st. Yeah. But he's a very exciting part of this course. You know that he heads Google DeepMind in Edmonton. DeepMind is headquartered in London, UK, and in Edmonton, and Rich Sutton heads the Edmonton component of DeepMind. Course specifics, AI safety, regenerative medicine, areas where we need to broaden the audience by going beyond lecturing to other communication modalities. Yeah. So we endeavor to shoot broadcast quality video of each lecture and discussion. Previous lectures are on YouTube, and there's the course website. The readings are suggested by eClass and email, and student advocacy. So beyond the things that Taryn is already suggesting that you do, you can also suggest things. And if you can think of a way in which the students from this course can change the world that we haven't thought of yet, let us know, you know? So there's kind of a history of that. We plan to do a lot more. So the course content, yeah, like your final paper and exam, they can't be like any final paper, or a presentation you've ever done in any other course, because no other course has this notion of existential risk, AI, genomics, nanotech, the technological singularity, and exponential change, Moore's law. Those things have to kind of be built in to your final presentation, because this course is mainly about speculative content, right? Every other course you've ever taken is about things that already exist. We're talking about things that don't exist yet, but will in the near future. Ways to optimize positive outcome for humanity and the coevolution of humans and machines, the influence of these considerations on medicine of the future. And we have also prominent people talking to you internationally. For instance, David Pierce, one of the founders of Transhumanism is talking to you a few sessions from now. Most of the lectures are not very medical. They're easily understood without a medical background. And the course is undergirded by the idea of medicine writ large, which is sort of like the social responsibility of medicine. And we try to maintain a balanced view provided by incorporating both tech skeptics and tech advocates. So there's great audience heterogeneity, but that's just fine. Some already know what the singularity is, others don't, and are finding out just now, but that's okay. If the people and ideas we present are genuinely new and interesting, should be able to satisfy both groups, the seasoned tech people and the people who have not really thought very much about the future of tech before this course. The most interesting aspects have to do with the impact on young people today, and there's considerable youth orientation in the course, and the faculty are getting younger and younger. We have two of the TAs teaching, Ishita Mogi and Terence Stokowski, and in the past you'll see we have consistently have very young people teaching you, sometimes people your own age, just packed a tremendous amount of vibrant life into a small number of years, and kind of way ahead of you in life experience, but similar in age. And that can be very stimulating to meet a person like that. Marcus Hutter, now with this grant that I've just submitted yesterday, he is actually participating directly in my research activities. So when we talk about him, I have more like daily interactions with him than I used to. And so there's a PowerPoint with audio that I will send you the link for, and you should watch in preparation for the next lecture. And he conjures up a picture of what the singularity will look like. You're required to know this, right? Okay. So outside the singularity looking in, it will be like white noise. You won't be able to understand what you're seeing, but the sound will be white noise. And if you're inside the singularity, you won't notice anything because everybody's being speeded up at a similar rate. So it will just seem to you like everything's normal. But of course, even if initially our biological brains count for something in our mental processes, very soon the processing power of the machine implants will vastly outstrip our biological brains. Our biological brains may become insignificant regardless of the friendliness or unfriendliness of the AI. So in our next lecture about the singularity, we're sort of dealing with the psychology of this. You know, part of it's exciting, uplifting, part of it's deeply depressing. And I try to keep you on an even keel as we, explore all these various aspects of it. But to some extent, the future might be being stuck in a dysphoric eternal youth, a caricature of what it's like to be young. So extreme risk-taking because we can back ourselves up from backups if something bad happens, and the insignificance, lack of identity. Why wait to create backups when we have the processing power to run several lives at once? And you'll find out that we've been doing a lot with this idea of multiple instances of self. And in my office, the office I'm speaking to you from right now, there are 17 coroplast cutouts of students just like you surrounding me. So, it's hard to be close together with other humans in this pandemic, but I can do it because the ones I'm close to are made out of chloroplast. And yeah, they always look smiling and happy. They never have any bad days, these students surrounding me. That's something we did only one term. And I think a lot of the unique things we do in this course, we only do one term. So, and we try to morph and change and make the course remarkably different every time, because course about the future cannot be static. Okay, so the challenge of producing a friendly AI becomes just a small part of a much larger challenge of creating a friendly world in which humans still have lives of significance. Human history is retained and extended. And I mean, I'm working and talking about this very actively much of the time now of what that spectrum is, from a kind of utopia outcome to, you know, apocalypse, right? And how we can nudge it toward the utopia and away from apocalypse. Positive outcome is possible. Let's make it more likely. We all need to be engaged, ensuring a positive outcome for humanity. Future is ours to shape. We need to get busy doing that. Simple approach is needed to engage the general public in these matters. The course is a beginning attempt at achieving that. Foxconn, many of you may not know that you have an intimate relationship with Foxconn, but Foxconn made the cell phone that's in your pocket right now. And they've had an interesting relationship with the idea of replacing all their human labor with robots, in part because there was a fairly high suicide rate, and it wasn't clear that humans enjoyed working for Foxconn very much. So about 10 years ago, they said they were going to replace 1 million humans working for them with 1 million robots. And we been kind of following this. So it's not been as extensive a replacement, but it still is substantial. They still have a lot of robots. They've replaced more than half their human workforce with robots and producing the cell phone that's in your pocket. Yeah. And what about medicine? We could eliminate all disease and still have an absolutely terrible world. Challenge of, yeah. So part of the imagined future could be one in which all of the diseases we know today are eliminated, but life is still intolerable, or another where the only diseases are from bioterrorism, targeted against certain groups. 2035, 2045 is only a short number of years from now. You'll still be working then. What will medical careers be like then? All natural disease may be eliminated, leaving only man-made disease, but that could still be as much for physicians to do as there is today. Challenging responses to bioterrorism and stem cell technology. Focus of medicine will probably be no longer disease, but enhancement, which will extend beyond the physical to the moral and spiritual. And probably people will have no limit to how much they will want to be enhanced. And social responsibility is an important aspect of medicine, one of the focuses of this course. Rudolf Virchow, who I talk about a lot. I don't know how many of you are 27 or were recently 27 or going to be 27 soon, but almost all the quotes people use from Rudolf Virchow were written when he was 27 in 1848. And so this is one of them. It's the curse of humanity, that it learns to tolerate even the most horrible situations by habituation. Physicians are the natural attorneys of the poor, and the social problems should be largely solved by them. And so that you'll understand that this then gets into areas that you would now say, well, but that's social work. Yeah, but anyway, it's going to become increasingly complicated and consequential social work, and probably eventually physicians will have a role in, impacting things like the background of human illness brought about by poverty and injustice and all the various big evils in the world that have a big impact on health. So in 2010, I became the only full-time university faculty member taking the Singularity University executive course. You see me there on the far right, kind of sticking out like a sore thumb. And yeah, so I enjoyed that very much, and basically that's where this course came from. And so it was quite exciting to them, the idea that I would start a course that extended what I learned there and teach it in a faculty of medicine. I had been arguing for new cross-disciplinary structures in universities to better prepare us for the future. I kept thinking somebody else was going to do it, right? But then it became apparent that I am the most likely suspect here. I'm the person who should do this, so that's why I created this course. There are other similar courses, but they're all taught by professional keynote speakers. So these are people who don't have to be academically credible, they just have to put on a good show. And so my challenge is different, and I do have to be academically credible. Eventually, it's our hope that there'll be hundreds of similar courses will be begin appearing in universities all over the world. It's also this idea of abundance. You wake up every morning and you immediately think of all the things you want, you can't have, and the things you want to do that you can never do. But really, the world could change where it's exactly the opposite. That virtual reality is better than real and shareable with friends, and the price of valuable things comes down to practically zero. And everything you want to have or do, you can do or have. And so what's the meaning of life then? And what's your sort of objective then as a human being then? That will be very interesting question, and what medicine will be like in such a situation. Moore's law, you need to know about this, the exponential curve of price performance of computing that is also related to many other things in the technology field. And this is what predicts that in 2045, machines will be as smart as the whole aggregate human race, surpasses the brain power equivalent to that of all human brains on Earth combined. Yeah. Whereas machines being as smart as individual humans is supposed to be in 2029, so that's just 7 years from now. And possibly this singularity might occur in 2035 rather than in 2045. Moore's law doesn't quite apply equally in healthcare because there are various things that slow it down. They increase the security and privacy considerations. But I mean, it still impacts things in medicine. But medicine tends to be a little bit behind because of the regulation. Regulatory oversight is completely focused on compliance, discourages risk-taking and innovation. Healthcare doesn't have the same financial reward system as the rest of society. Facebook isn't going to pay $1 billion for the latest hot ticket item in imaging and informatics and medicine. And security always trumps information sharing, and so better, faster linkages are constrained because of security concerns, many of which are bogus. Yeah, the microscope and the mega macroscope. The mega macroscope is the idea I had in 2004, and you can look at a PowerPoint with me talking about that. And I think having received this lecture, you can kind of get the idea of what I mean by that. You know, it's both the ability to look at really small things and make them big enough to understand what's going on, but also the ability to look at really big things and bring it down to some sort of scale where we can start to understand these really big things. And this idea of the mega macroscope is really interesting in terms of like intellectual property. So I started using that term in 2004. IBM made a big deal about it in 2017, but by 2019 they stopped talking about it because they found out about me, and that made it much less interesting. That this obscure pathologist in northern Canada had been talking about this since 2004. So I don't think you can't find the word on any IBM websites now. But it goes through a phase when they were talking about that. Yeah, so that's the end of the lecture, and I will stop sharing now, and we can have discussion, and there's lots of time. So there's 39 minutes. My goodness, imagine what we could accomplish in 39 minutes. So any questions? Really, all questions are fair game. And as you might imagine, I'm sort of used to answering questions. That's sort of my life. Yeah. So you are muted. And I don't know if you were meaning to ask us anything. But yeah.
I was asking her if she had any questions. Sorry.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, that's so the family aspect of the course, I never anticipated that. But in this rendition of the course, we have two families represented here. There are the two sisters in Pakistan from the same family, and then the Grozdanics. So there are three of them, and they're taking part in the course. So we're developing a real legacy in that sense. Yeah. So other questions? I of course am quite able to keep talking if you don't ask questions. Let me tell you a little bit more about the 18th. The 18th is quite consequential. We plan this coming summer to put together a version of the course for Nepal. And so on the 18th, we're going to talk with people in Nepal about this. They think that the defects the average Nepalese citizen has is, first of all, in critical thinking. They're probably, there's not much of a tradition of critical thinking, and also they're not very inspired by astrophysics the way the rest of us are. So we are going to try to figure out how to correct that. So Nadia is going to bring us some information about black holes and maybe the Big Bang, and how you can use that to get people excited about technology and the universe at large, and expand their horizons. So in the future, when you meet a young Nepali person who's been to this university we're helping to create, they're just as interesting to talk to as people here. Yeah, or maybe more so, maybe considerably more so. So that's what we're aiming for. And the timing is a little bit tricky, particularly if you're not an early riser. So maybe you're not able to actually meet Arjun Karki, who's the guy starting this new university there. Our Zoom with him will be at 7:30 a.m. But also I have a regenerative medicine webinar at 3 that day. So the afternoon session at 2 is going to go from just 2 to 2:50, be the shortest session ever, I think, because I have this other thing at 3. So you really have to keep on your toes if you decide to show up for the afternoon lecture at 3 in a completely empty Zoom room. Yeah, but I hope that you'll be excited thinking about the impact that Taryn and Nadia are going to potentially have on this new educational institution in Nepal on the 18th. Yeah, and it's related to Taryn's lecture on human flourishing, which is the previous teaching session too. Yeah. Other questions? What we could do is go around and have people introduce themselves, right? So maybe we'll start with Angela, since she's yeah. Do you want to tell us about yourself, Angela?
Sure. I'll start off by just pronouncing my name the way it is. It's Isla. I know it's
Isla.
looks.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's super. Yeah. It's not. Most people don't usually pronounce it right the first time, so it's not a huge deal.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm in my second year at the U of A in the elementary education program. But I was introduced into this course by my cousin Amir, who's also in the class, and he's on Zoom with Hannah. So I'm super excited for this class. It sounds great, and you're honestly such an enthusiastic prof, and I love listening to you because you're just so like you seem so like
wired.
Exactly. So much energy. I love it. I just want to claim all that energy. It's great.
Yeah. Well, just to get serious for a moment, the Coroplast cutouts cost about $300 each. And believe it or not, the personality tests we did, that other term, also costs $300. So exactly equivalent. So it's not like I'm spending more or less on the students. But yeah, so what I learned when we did those tests was very, very interesting. First of all, of course, I had a plan to keep my own personality deeply secret, because I'm sure there was going to be terribly embarrassing. I wanted to, but yeah, it turns out that my openness to experience is like sky high as you could possibly measure, and my neuroticism, worrying about things that don't need to be worried about, is practically zero. So in that way, I'm quite different from normal people, but it seems like those are two useful attributes. One of the things is, if somebody comes to me worried about something, they kind of know they're not adding that to my own worries, because I don't really have many of my own worries, right? So I would have time for their worries, because I don't have a lot of my own. So anyway, that was interesting. And yeah,
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's funny because I can actually kind of relate to that, since I actually have tons of my own friends who usually come to me when they have problems because they know that I can handle it a lot of the times, because I usually don't absorb their negativity. So I kind of just take it in and then I help them out too. So
right.
it's funny when you say that because I relate to that a lot as well.
Yeah, cool. So why don't we go on to Hannah and you, yeah.
You can go first.
Okay, hi everyone. So I'm Amir, and this is Hannah, this is my sister. I'm in my 4th year of undergraduate studies at the U of A. I'm studying classics, but I'll let my sister go ahead.
I'm Hannah. He already introduced me. I'm in my 1st year of elementary ed, so I'm a newbie amongst very experienced individuals. But yeah, I'm very excited for this course.
Yeah, and about classics, my son Kevin is a professor of classics at Memorial University in St. John's. How about that? And he's probably going to take part in this grant that I'm writing, The Future of Being Human. So we need classicists. Anyway, okay, so Rishi Durapala, are you available to tell us about yourself? Maybe not. Yes, okay.
Sorry, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just a 1st-year medical student. I thought this course was pretty interesting. I read a little bit about AI and stuff before, so I mostly signed up for those lectures.
Right. Well, you know, the history of 1st-year medicine and us is kind of interesting. There were 2 years where we taught the entire 1st-year class. And the second of those years, something spectacular happened. That Jonathan White, he thought it was a joke, but the students didn't think it was a joke. He just sort of threw off the line, you guys will be out of a job. And the medical students got so mad. It was like a very volatile moment. I think it happened to be the wrong moment anyway for them. Yeah, so that was, and it's interesting because I don't feel that way at all. I think that, you know, the job of medicine is just going to get bigger and bigger. It will change, but I don't see it going away. Yeah, so anyway, welcome. Jansen Kappen.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Jansen. I, along with Rishi, am also a 1st-year medical student. I'm interested in radiology as a residency, so I took this class primarily to know, you know, how AI is going to affect radiology. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Cool. Well, radiology is sort of ahead of laboratory medicine in a sense. We're both specialties that you would say are very, you know, technology related. So there'll probably be some similar outcomes in terms of what happens in the 2 fields. Okay, well, welcome. Darcy, do you want to tell us about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Hello, everyone. So my name's Darcy. I'm a 2nd-year medicine student. This has been a nice change already from the many hours of shoulder anatomy we've had this week. So I'm looking to that distinction, and maybe I'll find out a way to defend my future career against the robots. So I'm interested and happy to be here.
Yeah, great, wonderful. Okay, Ryan Denton.
Hey, I'm Ryan. I'm actually a grad student in biomedical engineering. I actually started taking this course last semester, and then it didn't end up really working in my schedule. So I had to kind of drop it, but I'm glad to be back, and I'm looking forward to getting into it.
Yeah, well, it is nice. I mean, we have people associated with the course who are still doing things with us, you know, for after many years. So it's kind of cool that happens. So welcome. Okay, Iman Imama, but there, yeah.
Hi, my name is Imama. I'm also a second year medical student with Darcy. And yeah, I was interested because when I saw the course description, it sounded really interesting. Yeah, and totally agree with Darcy. It's been a nice change of pace from having to listen to shoulder anatomy lectures all day.
Okay. All right, Philip Ding.
Hello, hello. My name is Philip. I'm another first year medical student. I joined because I thought the content is really interesting and this lecture is proving me correct. My background is in molecular genetics from undergrad, and I'm a novice programmer right now doing some health outcomes analytics. And so hopefully what we learn is going to be really relevant to me, but I'm excited to find out.
Okay. Nimna Mendis.
Hi everyone, I'm Nimna. I'm also a first year medical student. And just like Philip, I was interested in this kind of content. It was like really interesting to me. And I also have a math background in before medicine. So I've always kind of liked computer science and mathematics. So I'm really excited about this course.
Great. Vibi.
Hi, my name's Vibi. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a fourth year psychology student, and I kind of just took this course because I heard about it from my cousin, and I thought it would be something super interesting to take. And I remember speaking to Dr. Solas about this a little while ago, but this course really reminds me of the show Black Mirror. I don't know if any of you all have seen it, but yeah. I find the technology in that super interesting. So I'm so excited to learn about, the more realistic end of that.
Great. Welcome. Okay, Anita Trong.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, my camera is actually not working. I know it sounds like an excuse, but it actually isn't working. I dropped my laptop. But I'm also a first year medical student, and my background is in biomedical technology. I did a master's in that. And so I thought that this course would be very interesting to supplement my knowledge from before. And hopefully I'll get to learn a bit more throughout the year or throughout the semester, I guess.
Yeah, great. Welcome. JC Pitaway.
Hi, my name's JC. I'm a fourth year criminology student, and I heard about this course from one of my good friends who took it in his undergrad. And yeah, I don't know much about AI, but I'm super excited to learn about it.
Yeah, well, we can learn a lot of interesting things from you. We've never had anybody in criminology or anything closely associated with the entire history of the course. So it's a new venture for us. That's for sure. So welcome. Okay, Ava Zardinazad.
Hello,
Hi.
My name is Ava. I'm also a first year medical student. I've always been interested in kind of technology when it came to lab medicine, but I've never had a chance to explore it. So when the opportunity arose, I kind of jumped to it, and looking forward to learning more.
Great. Okay. Kashika, it's the middle of the night for you, but so how are you doing?
I'm doing very good. So I'm sorry I'm not able to open up my camera. I don't know why it's not working, but I'm pretty sure you'll be able to see me next session. So my name is Kashika, and I'm 14 years old. I'm in grade 9 currently. I'll be moving up to grade 10 this year. So I'm pretty excited about that. So I originally got to know about this course through a YouTube video. I was originally researching about space medicine, but then I landed up on Shauna's part of the course. So, and then YouTube has a great feature where you can contact the content creator of the video itself, of the channel. So I was able to contact Sir. So, and then he was very kind for me to take up this course or the midterm test, and And I was originally interested in the application of space medicine and technology involved in, but when I got to know about the content of the course itself, I was really intrigued by the topic. I was really interested. So that's the story of how I landed here. So, yeah.
Yeah, great. No, well, it's wonderful to have you here, and you're causing us to think about how much important thought and intellectual content can come from very young people. Elm Elahi. Hi. You're muted.
I am muted.
Okay.
So I found out this course through two of my close friends, Rahab and Jerry Du, who I think used to TA in this course.
Right.
I actually emailed you last year during my undergrad trying to get into this course as like a sixth course, and I wasn't allowed to do it. And you said,
Right.
hey, I'm so sorry. And I was like, I'm so sorry. But then I got into medicine this year, and then I realized I could take it. And so now I'm here and I'm very excited.
Great. So I think what we'll do now, Nadia, why don't you tell us about you, and then Noor, who has just come, will talk to him. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Nadia. I go by she, her pronouns, and I am one of the many TAs for this course. So you'll see a lot of me in this first month because I am in my last year of a combined education science degree. I do have my practicum after this month, so I will be absolutely busy, and I'm looking forward to it. But in terms of my background, I'm very keen and interested in philosophy and anthropology of science and technology. So I'll definitely try to be here for those lectures that deal with the more societal and philosophical side of things. But as Kim Sola has mentioned, Dr. Sola has mentioned, I will be here to teach about black holes. So I do also have a background in a bit of astrophysics, and I'm really keen about learning about that stuff. So hopefully I'll be able to do it justice in that session. Yeah.
Cool.
And yeah, over these next few days and next few months, I would highly recommend taking advantage of when you're here to discuss with your colleagues and discuss with the speakers, because when I took that in the past, like that was the best part of the course, just getting those interactions with other people, as hard as it is online.
Sure. Yeah, and I think eClass and the eClass forum can be very useful. So Noor Jarbia is having technical problems, but we'll see if we're able to. There you
I'm
are.
right here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, sorry, it's been tough for today with Zoom. They keep signing me out. I don't know why.
Yeah, well,
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Part of it may have to do with the Wi-Fi that you're choosing. If you have different ones, it may be better with the other Wi-Fi, like there's HS Wi-Fi and university Wi-Fi. You know, you may have different options.
I think for this house it's only one.
I see. Yeah. No, that would be the usual
Yeah,
case.
unfortunately, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just introduce myself.
Yeah.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Noor Janbi. In my last semester in biological sciences, and my minor was chemistry. I've been researching a lot about technology in medicine. That's how I found this course, and I'm really, really excited to be with all of you, hopefully.
Yeah, great. Well, it's wonderful to have you here. So I think what I might do now, let me just try this and see. So, you know, I wrote to you about the idea of coming up with kind of guidelines. If you want to give a presentation using changing virtual Zoom backgrounds, And I'll just show you kind of quickly what I mean by that. So like on either a Mac or a PC, Zoom gives you 16 options. So you can be talking about something, and it depends upon whether you need words, but for the most important presentations, you sort of don't need words, right? I mean, you don't need words on a slide. You're talking about things where maybe pictures will work just fine. And so I think it would be nice if we came up with kind of standards of practice of how you give this new kind of presentation. People have been saying that PowerPoint is old and tired and needs to be replaced, right? And maybe this could be it for some purposes, but how should it work, and what are the ways to do it best? Yeah, like if you're worried about global warming, you can get a lot of comfort from this slide. If you could control this megastructure around the Earth, then you've solved global warming forever, right? You can fine tune whatever you want the temperature of the Earth to be, and it's just fine. It's just we really haven't worked out how you make this thing, who defends it, who repairs it, you know, who actually lives up there. So a lot of things yet to be worked out, just like many of the other speculative things that we're talking about in this course. But anyway, I would encourage you to think about that. I think we can probably write a paper about the use of virtual Zoom backgrounds. And it's as if the Zoom company is kind of cooperating with us in the following sense. When I began this in March of 2021, Mac and PC were completely different. One was 12, the other was 16 backgrounds, and the idea of being able to turn things, this worked on PC, but didn't work on a Mac. So everything was different, you know, nothing was standardized. But once I began talking about giving presentations this way, they standardized so that Mac and PC both had the same number of virtual backgrounds. You could twirl your background like I've just shown you on both platforms. So it's getting easier to use this. And I think what we could also define is what kind of presentations can it be used for? You can imagine some presentations absolutely demand words, and so many words that having you in front of the words would just never work, right? But anyway, for a lot of other things, you really don't need words. It's sort of larger concepts. And if you think about so this is one of Ashita Mogi's graphics, and this is a depiction of the basic goodness of human beings. And if you try to define it in words, it's a little bit hard, but you do get a sort of feeling. These people are cooperating, they're protecting, you know, the vulnerable members of society and so on. But you can't quite define it all in words. And in fact, I think the best graphics are like that. And like most of what Ashita does, this is also hers. This is me talking about using AI to solve the big 13 problems of the human race. You may not have thought of multiple instances of self as one of the big problems, but we'll teach you about that in this course. Yeah, and so one of the things is some of this is sort of ineffable content, right? It's stuff you can't put words on exactly. Like the more you look at this picture of the girl and the robot, the more you sort of learn about your own feelings about where we're going in the future. Like, who can appreciate beauty better? You know, can the machine appreciate it better than we can? Why is the robot the one with the flower, and why is he the one, you know, communicating with the outside world with that antenna? And the young woman there looks like she's been through the mud that morning. So a lot of rough things have happened to her, right? So yeah, it's kind of interesting to think. So if you just wrote down all the words, it would probably be much less thought-provoking than the picture. And like this picture, you would realize that both the robotic dog in this picture looks better than the real robotic dog, and I look better than the real me. So, I mean, it's sort of an idealized world, right? And the background is better than my real surroundings. Then, you know, they're just pictures that are almost impossible to sort of describe, but are pleasing and kind of get you thinking about, well, what could I make into this? Or what could I create this for or from or whatever, you know? So, yeah. So to some of you, that this is probably of absolutely no interest, but I think there probably should be papers coming out from the course. It's been a while. I think our last paper was 2013 about the course itself. And yes, we ought to find some more things to be writing about and let the world know what we're up to. Okay, other things you would like to talk about? We have another 10 minutes if any of you wish to engage us in other subjects. Do you know about the immersive view? So there are various ways. This goes up to 25 people that you can, yeah, like that. They're anyway. So, yeah, just if you get tired of the usual way, you can go into these, you know, immersive views. Yeah. Stop immersive view for everyone. Yeah, stop. Okay. We're back. Okay. Yeah. Oh no, what happened to Hannah? Oh, there she is. Okay. I'm glad we didn't lose anybody. Yet replaced by AI, right? Yeah. So, thank you for taking part in this first teaching session. We're always looking for ideas of how to improve things. This is the first time we've had 16 medical students. You think of the aggregate intelligence of 16 medical students, it's like amazing, right? So you guys should be able to come up with a lot of improvements of things we could do to expand and broaden the impact of the course. Yeah, and that would be fun. As I said at the beginning, many of you didn't hear it, but so 49 years ago, I started teaching undergraduate students when I was a PGY1 trainee in pathology at Johns Hopkins. So it was in January 1973, 49 years ago. And I've basically continued doing it since then. My boss at the time was so fascinated. No trainee had ever done anything remotely like this. Most people, when they start their training, they're pretty focused on themselves and they don't think about teaching other people at the same time. So, you know, basically, Johns Hopkins was teaching me pathology at the same time that I was teaching these 5 undergraduate students about medicine and life in general. And this is, you know, continued the next 49 years. And although my boss at the time, Robert Heptonstall, he made fun of the students, sometimes calling them the children. He was very proud that we had this very unusual activity going on. And a lot of the young people that I trained back then have done very well. Many of them done better than me. They've been deans and presidents and stuff. So it didn't hurt them, let's say. It wasn't negative. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, and think of the excitement next year, a year from now, it'll be 50 years from the time that I started to do this. And I've never regretted a moment talking to young people. A lot of people my age hold the firm belief that talking to young people is a complete waste of time, that they haven't been on Earth long enough to really know anything worth talking about. So on, and they just don't know what they're missing. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Yeah. So any other questions? Otherwise, I might be inclined to let you go 6 minutes early so you can get a leg up on the next part of your day and so on. And we'll see you next Tuesday then. Talk about the singularity, explained and promoted. Yeah, how about that for a concept? Anyway, thank you very much. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.